a late breaking piece of news, or a recent piece of breaking news, which is a really viral Twitter thread from a guy named Peter Cowan on the rash of severe injuries the 49ers have suffered, and his supposition, or his thesis, that this is due to an electrical substation near their stadium and practice field. Why I'm here today is that I saw this coming. I knew this was going to happen. Not exactly like this, but let me give you the background so that you guys can all understand how to interpret and understand this story. So, I became interested in electromagnetism in life, which is really what this is about, several years ago when I stumbled into some people in the blogosphere who were talking about how light and circadian rhythms and electromagnetic fields and wireless radiation can affect life. And I dove deep down the rabbit hole of the quantum physics behind all of this. And it was extremely disillusioning, because what I found is that there was a very sound scientific basis for these interactions, that these interactions have very profound effects or implications for human health. And the vast majority of the researchers who I could find who'd gone deep in the research and proven these mechanisms had been defunded, usually through the influence of what we can call the military industrial complex, because the military industrial complex has a huge stake in electromagnetic technology. And let me explain how this works. So the military comes up with it. Then people from the military take it and repurpose it for private applications and companies, and they make an absolute fortune. If you look at how Silicon Valley is connected to the defense industry, there are so many connections. It is practically a revolving door. Why is this important? The first thing that happens when anyone like Peter comes out on social media and makes a connection like this, which is a very compelling connection, the number and degree of injuries we see in this case is remarkable. And people are saying, "Oh, it's disinformation, it's misinformation, this is bad science." Let me tell you something. The people who are saying that have often never read any of the actual research on this topic. What's most surprising, perhaps, to me is how this plays out in clinical practice. When you start telling people to clean up their electromagnetic environment, they will actually see, this is not a guarantee, this is a trend. They will see meaningful improvements in how they feel, how they function, how they perform. Can it, or does it have real effects on illnesses, diseases, symptoms, signs of disease? I have to be careful how I phrase that in public because of how the FDA, the FTC, and other alphabet soup agencies police our speech on this topic. Guess who controls those agencies? I hope you guys see how all this fits together. The reality is that there's a lot of vested interests who have their fingers in the pie here, and they want to make sure that the lid stays on this topic as tightly as possible. So, coming back to whether or not this stuff is disinformation, misinformation, how big of a deal it is, the entirety of academia is lost in this biochemical paradigm. They have absolutely no earthly idea how quantum biology works and how quantum mechanics, the implications of quantum mechanics for medicine. They're in no position to actually debunk this kind of material. And that's just where we are. Practical things that I share with patients is just limit your technology use. One of my favorite tips or practical habits to hand patients is take 3 10-minute walks. I don't intend for those 3 10-minute walks to be spent staring into their smartphone, listening to their earbuds. Ideally, they are spent in connection with nature. The phone is not with you, or if it's on you, it's in airplane mode. Why? Just immerse yourself in nature. There are a lot of healing qualities of nature, from the sounds of birds singing to the sounds of wind in the trees, to maybe you live by the beach or you live near a body of water, the sound of the ocean or the water lapping at the shore. Things like that actually do make a difference. They help to improve our sympathetic nervous, our parasympathetic nervous system tone, our autonomic nervous system, many different benefits from that. Getting sunlight in our eye unobstructed without sunglasses, ideally, can have a very powerful effect on our sleep, our circadian rhythms, and more. So I really like for people to take these walks without sunglasses. If you need a hat for shade, go ahead. I also recommend that people make their bedroom a sleep sanctuary. So no Wi-Fi, as minimal technology in the bedroom at night. We know this disrupts sleep. I just interviewed a pediatric neurologist, Laredo Ritter, on my podcast. We talked about how his studies of EEGs has shown that wireless radiation, electromagnetic radiations of all kinds impact sleep. He's got some very compelling stories from his practice of children who, where when the electromagnetic environment is controlled or optimized, their behavior, their illness really does change. He's documented this extensively in his practice and in his professional life. Those are two of the big things that I share with patients that have a huge impact. And they often come back to me and say, this made a big impact. Thank you for recommending it to me. So I wanted to just quickly jump on, tell you all what I think about this interesting story. Fun fact, Peter is a graduate of the Institute for Applied Quantum Biology, where I'm a faculty member. And so he went through a training program that I helped build and design. Kudos, by the way, to him. Thank you all for watching.